It's the beginning of a brand new week and a wonderful day to be alive. We're also proclaiming it as a day for introspection. Time to set achievable goals before the year ends. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Between the pages today, we highlight the work being done to improve the efficiencies of the National Solid Waste Management Authority. Plus, on Issues and Answers, the Community Renewal Program is deepening its roots and revolutionizing Jamaica, one area at a time. Please stay with us. The magazine unfolds right now. Social transformation is necessary for the nation to achieve the Vision 2030 Development Plan. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, through the Community Renewal Program, is leading this charge by working with individuals at the grassroots levels to solve many social ills. A discussion on that effort is next.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we want to look at the Community Renewal Program. That is one of the programs of the Planning Institute of Jamaica. Its program director, Charles Clayton, is here with us. This is an important social intervention program. I want to get a status report of what has been happening. We thank you for your company. Charles, good to have you on the program. We should give a background to this Community Renewal program, when it started and its rationale.
All right, thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be here. The program started in 2011 as a response to the upheavals that happened in 2010 in the West Kingston area.
Yeah, May 10,
2010. The then Prime Minister, Bruce Golding, asked the PIOJ to craft a response that would be helpful to the people of West Kingston. And out of that, we determined that we needed a broader program that would look at the developmental challenges that would have given rise to communities such as those that were involved in the West Kingston fracas. And out of that, we crafted what we call the Community Renewal Program. It is really a program that targets 100 of what we call the most vulnerable and volatile communities, as determined by an index that we developed through consultations with partners. The reason for doing this is that when we looked at the issues that were attendant on what happened in West Kingston, we recognized that there were common issues across a number of communities, and any one of them could have a similar result if left unchallenged. So we determined that what we needed was a broader program that would look across the board at what was happening in these communities and to see how, as a combined effort, we could address these issues and perhaps not only ameliorate the situations, but put these communities on a path towards what we call sustainable development. Because we saw what happened not only as a crime problem, but as a developmental challenge that needed to be addressed from that perspective, not from the perspective of crime solving. So the program we came up with is a holistic program that really tries to bring together all the players who are involved in some way in community development, to have them focus on common spaces in a targeted way that look specifically at what the challenges are and to look at targeting those areas of the intervention that would probably have the greatest impact on achieving sustainable change. So out of that, we came up with 6 broad pillars that we thought had to be addressed. Safety and justice speaks for itself. Socioeconomic development speaks to the fact that no matter what you do in these communities, if you don't have a strong socioeconomic base among the people, it is likely it will not be sustained. So you need to reduce the dependency ratio in these communities for change to be sustainable. So that had to be addressed. Secondly, we looked at social transformation, which really encapsulates on 2 broad areas. One is how we as agencies respond to and treat these communities. And secondly, how they see us and how they respond to us. But it also involves the element of recognizing that people have been exposed to sustained trauma over a period of time, which would have damaged their thinking, but would never have been treated. something akin to what we call post-traumatic stress syndrome that soldiers have.
Yeah.
If you say your mother killed or your brother killed or your friend killed and so on, and nobody ever came to address that problem, it's going to hurt you.
That's enduring
And damage you.
psychological
Exactly.
impacts, yeah.
So it may well be that we could give you everything in the world, but your behavior is already damaged because those things come back to haunt you. So we think there's a program that is needed to address people who are in that condition, who are never treated.
Traumatized.
Right. We also want to look at the values that might be driving some of these behaviors. What do they mean? Why are these values important here as opposed to what we consider mainstream values? We want to look at those issues, and we want to see if we can actually bring people into a space where we all agree that the values that we ought to keep are values that will be pro-social or pro-developmental. So we're looking at values, we're looking at stress, we're looking at the relationship between agencies and communities. On our part, we want to ensure that we serve them well. Many of us as agencies do not treat them in the same way that we treat people from uptown in a necktie. And many of the community members don't really know how to access the services that we offer. Another theme is governance, where we try to capacitate people to recognize their own power to make decisions and to participate in governance processes, to decision-making processes, and how they can actually leverage support for their communities without having to resort to illegitimate means. Then we have the area of physical transformation, and we have all heard about broken windows theory. If you have a disorderly environment, it promotes disorderly behavior.
Generally.
Also, there is a link, though we don't know exactly how it works, between poor sanitation and violence. And so this disorderly environment creates unsanitary conditions and also disorderly behavior. So there's a need to fix the physical environment that people can feel better about where the spaces they occupy. And last but not least, the youth. The youth are the solution to our development. They are our future. But in this case, they're also part of the problem. They are the ones who perpetuate the most crimes, and they are the most victims. And so it means that we have to ring fence them. Whatever we are doing, we have to have a program that identifies and targets them in anything that we do, that their space can be better. So those 6 pillars really are what we focus on. They are aligned to Vision 2030 directly, to all of the goals and outcomes of Vision 2030 as well, from the very design phase. So what we do is to try to get agencies to participate under this umbrella, targeting activities under these 6 pillars, looking at specific communities, looking at what the needs are, identifying what they can do, finding the gaps, and seeing how we can close the gaps, so that at the end of the day, when you leave a community, the community will be left as a community that is on a path to sustainable change. We have also developed...
I want to take a break at this point.
Sure.
Charles, we're talking about the community renewal program of the Planning Institute of Jamaica. The government has been strong in its stress on social inclusive economic growth, not only aggregate economic growth, but economic growth which impacts the lives of people and also the lives of communities. And the community renewal program is an important plank in this. We're going to take a break, but we'll be right back.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original.
Charles Clayton is the program director of the Community Renewal Program of the Planning Institute of Jamaica. This is an important program which coordinates the work of a number of social and development agencies working in communities. And so, Charles, let's talk about your modalities and your mechanisms. So you work with various agencies, with the USAID through different programs, JSIF and others, to ensure that there's some coordination of effort, right? Because a number of people are doing several things, and sometimes doing the same things. So your job is to coordinate and help to give some cohesiveness.
Absolutely, and to take a more targeted approach. It's not just training. Training to what end? Where is it needed? How many is needed here? We're trying to bring information that can help these agencies to make better decisions as to how they target it. Also, while they have done good work across the board, and you could see large numbers of people trained, large numbers of people living in better housing and so on.
Yes.
When it comes to the spaces that people occupy, these communities, you can't say that the community itself has been transformed because the character of the community remains just about the same. So it means that we would like all these efforts to be focused on specific communities in such a way that at the end of the day you can see change in such a way that you can see change to the housing environment, you can see change to people's behavior, you can see change to people's life chances, and so on, all in that common space. So that what will happen is that there's a stronger likelihood that that community can change its character and be on a path to sustainable development. We're also bringing information on a matrix of interventions in the communities that we look at. Who's doing what where? So agencies can know where to focus their attention. Community needs this. We have X amount of agencies doing that. The gap is this. So it's 40,000 people who are untrained. You are training 10,000 at over 5 years. And so there's a gap of this. We need more agencies doing that here. That's the kind of information. So at this point, we have matrices that are showing who is doing what in the communities we are targeting here. And we are doing the same thing in St. James. We have just recently gone there with that approach. So what we want to do is to bring this matrix, the needs analysis, to say where to focus attention, and then we use that to scope a plan of action, saying who will do what, where we need to find resources to support that activity. Because, I mean, our approach really is we mobilize resources where they are needed, we coordinate, we do research, and design pilot programs where we find that something is needed that nobody else is doing, and we also monitor and evaluate so that we can bring all this information to bear on what people are doing.
Yeah, very well explained. So the PIOJ is really playing a very critical role in social development and in social intervention, and taking, importantly, an integrated and holistic approach.
That is exactly the approach that we're taking. As I said before, agencies have done very good work, and they're still doing good work. So right now we have under the matrix, we have the European Union, which is spending millions of dollars in 40 communities, and they are doing things like a lot of important infrastructure work. They have worked on health centers, they have worked on schools, they have worked on police stations, and they have worked on roads in communities to help them. So we would bring other interventions to bear on some of these communities where we can to have a deeper impact. The USAID is working in 25 communities. They are building 25 resource centers, one in each community. Those resource centers will capacitate the CDCs, Community Development Committees, to be able to earn something, because they'll be training in business, and there'll be a business side attached to the operation of these resource centers. They're also bringing the police closer to the community by putting police posts inside these resource centers where the CDCs operate from. And they're doing this across 25 communities. They're working in climate change, they're working in entrepreneurship, they're working in education and so on as well. In 25 of the CRP communities, the ICDP, Integrated Community Development Program, from the World Bank, which is also being implemented by JSIF, they are working in 18 communities, 15 of which are CRP communities. They'll be doing infrastructure work as well, some social programs, some educational programs as well. They're rolling out right now. So in that way, the reach of the CRP is broader than it. But in terms of having the integrated approach, we are trying to pull the agencies into specific communities as well. And we have a large number of public sector agencies that are participating in this framework as well, and private sector agencies as well. I'm afraid to call them because I might miss one.
I know, and there are so many. But I think the key point is that there are a number of agencies working to deal with the social and development challenges
Absolutely.
That the country is facing. So there's no quick fix to the crime problem, to the serious social issues that were are faced within Jamaica, but action is being taken by the state as well as non-governmental organizations. Charles Clayton is the program director of the Community Renewal Program of the Planning Institute of Jamaica. We thank you for your company. Next week we'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant day.
The Jamaican and Japanese governments have partnered to share expertise on the management of solid waste. The National Solid Waste Management Authority is the local entity leading this charge. Take a look.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, has been partnering with the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, since 2004. Over this 12-year period, 30 employees from the NSWMA have been to Japan, where they received training in areas that included composting, managing recycling facilities, landfill management techniques, sustainable solid waste for CARICOM countries, sustainable waste management for Caribbean islands, solid waste management A, which consists of basic introductory courses, and solid waste management B, which consists of advanced courses. Beneficiaries on return submit a report and a proposal on the subject matter for funding by JICA under their follow-up cooperation facility. One such project is the Solid Waste Reduction through Waste Separation, Waste Diversion and Recycling Pilot Project.
The solid waste reduction through waste separation, waste diversion and recycling pilot project supports one of the main mandates of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, that is to implement programs that will effect behavioral change. So we welcome this initiative. For the next 6 months, the pilot project will be in 3 communities, namely Caribbean Estates and Caymanas Country Club Estates in St. Catherine and Rollington Town in Kingston. The project is estimated to be about $7 million, of which $6.7 million is being funded by the government of Japan through the Jamaica International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and as such we are very grateful for this. In the coming months, we will be meeting with residents, hosting community meetings, attending the Citizens Association meetings, and basically encouraging persons to separate their plastic containers, their cardboards and cans from their regular household waste. So we will be asking residents to take out these items, and a separate truck will come and do the collection, and we will give these items to a third-party companies. The learnings from this pilot project will assist the authority to develop policies and plans to guide and to help us to better manage solid waste, and to get residents to buy into the concept of separating their plastic containers, their cans, and also cardboards from their regular household waste. So at the end of the project, we will be in a much better position to determine behavior and attitude towards separation at source, how to really convince and to influence persons, residents, to separate these items from their regular household items.
On behalf of JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, I am pleased that NSWMA hold this pilot project of waste reduction through waste separation, waste diversion, and recycling. This project is planned by a senior planning officer of NSWMA who had participated in JICA training in Japan titled Sustainable Solid Waste Management for CARICOM countries. After he returned from Japan, he planned it based on what he'd learned in Japan. I am happy that JICA can assist this project and the JICA follow-up cooperation program. Although the amount is not bigger than 6.5 million Jamaican dollars. JICA has been offering several training programs to NSWMA since 1980s. So far about 30 NSWMA staff had participated in these JICA training programs.
This is a good government initiative based on a sponsorship from the Japanese government. It has allowed us to be one of the pilot projects, and we, the citizens and the residents of Caymanas, are grateful for this project because it allows us to sort our garbage, especially with the PET bottles. These are a continuous growing source of concern for our garbage collection with regards to blocking our drains and causing havoc on sea life. NSWMA Solid Waste Management has given us the bags so that it will encourage residents to carry out their bottles and put them in a central area that will be collected once a week. We will be sensitizing the residents based on the fact that it will encourage us to reduce our solid waste disposal.
We are taking up the plastic bottles, which we call the PET bottles, for recycling. So what we do, we separate them from the regular garbage in order to have the community be in a better environment. We have collections at the primary school, the Rallington Town Primary School, at 17 Montego Street, at the fire station, and Arcot Road for now, but we are enlightening the rest of the community people about this project. It will help the community in a vibrant way because less garbage, less bottles being around, seeing that we have the Zika virus around, this will also help to decrease the mosquito-borne disease being harbored around.
I think it is a phenomenal first step in the right direction that Jamaica needs to go, engaging the community. Recycling Partners, as you know, fully endorses the program. And as we mentioned, we will continue once your test period is done. We are committed to continue cleaning up those neighborhoods and collecting the bottles. And we'll also use it as a test pilot for other communities that we are hoping to bring on board.
Waste separation is the way forward, and the NSWMA, through our partners, is working to make this a way of life for all.
I'm imploring you to go out and vote tomorrow. This is your chance to have a say in how the affairs of your community should be governed and operated. Watch this next feature for details on the voting process.
Before Election Day, you will need to confirm that you are actually registered and therefore eligible to vote. You will also need to find out your polling division and the location of your polling station. Remember, you can only vote in the polling station that is designated for you. You can do this in 3 ways: by checking the printout of the voters list at your constituency office or post office, visiting the Electoral Office of Jamaica's website at www.ecj.com.jm, or by calling the EOJ toll-free at 1-888-991-VOTE. That's 1-888-991-8683. After confirming your registration, it's time to get ready to vote. Have your voter identification card at hand. You will need it on Election Day. If you have not yet collected it, please do so at your constituency office.
So it's Election Day. You know exactly where to cast your vote, and you have your voter's identification card with you. Go to your designated polling station and join the line like I have done, and wait until it's your turn at the voting booth.
It is often said that the early bird catches the most worms, but sometimes being not so early works in your favor. Most Jamaicans vote during the first 2 hours of polling and the last hour before the polls close, resulting in long lines. So if you want to avoid the wait, it's a good idea to vote during the off-peak hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
So now it's your turn to cast your vote. Wait for the presiding officer to acknowledge you.
Next person, please. Good day, sir.
Good day.
May I please have your name and your voter's ID?
Adrian Atkinson.
Thank you very much.
Forgot to bring your voter's ID card? You will still be allowed to vote once your name can be found on the voters list and your identity can be confirmed. However, the process to confirm you is quite lengthy, so to avoid delays, remember to bring your card on election day. Once your identity has been confirmed and your name has been found on the list, the presiding officer will then examine your fingers and hands for any traces of electoral ink using the integrity lamp. If your polling station is using EVBIS, that is the Electronic Voter Identification and Ballot Issuing System, you will be asked to place a specific finger on a fingerprint scanner. This scanner uses your fingerprint to confirm your identity.
Can I check your finger, please?
Once your identity has been verified, you'll be issued a ballot. Listen carefully to the instructions given because if you don't record your vote correctly, it may not be counted.
Mr. Atkinson, you are eligible to vote.
Thank you.
This is your ballot paper with the names of two candidates, Matthew Marks and Luke Johns. Please go behind the voting booth and place your X beside the symbol for the candidate of your choice using the pencil provided. I am folding your ballot paper twice. Please return it to me folded in the same manner to protect the secrecy of your vote.
Once you have been issued your ballot, it's time to vote. Go behind the voting booth and using the pencil provided, clearly mark an X in the space beside the symbol of the candidate of your choice. Refold the ballot twice as instructed by the presiding officer, leaving the flap out to protect the secrecy of your vote. Do not show your vote to anyone. Otherwise, your ballot will be declared spoiled and you will have to vote again.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Check, serial number return. Mr. Atkinson, please dip your right index finger in the ink. This way.
Be sure to watch while your unopened ballot is placed in the ballot box.
Once you have witnessed your ballot being placed into the ballot box, the voting process is complete. You should now leave the polling station in a peaceful manner.
Registered voters who intend to cast their ballots in the upcoming local government election are entitled to 3 hours time off from work on election day. This is in addition to the usual lunch hour. The law, however, does not apply to persons who begin work at 10 a.m. or later, or who end work at or before 2 p.m. Voters are encouraged to make the appropriate arrangements with their employers before election day. The polling stations will open at 7 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. but persons are encouraged to vote throughout the day rather than the first 2 hours of polling when lines are the longest. Voters are also reminded to bring their voter identification card to the polling station. Those who don't have their ID cards with them must swear or affirm to an oath of identity and be fingerprinted in order to verify their identity. This increases the amount of time spent in the voting area, resulting in longer waiting times for other voters. Only persons whose names appear on the May 31, 2016 voters list will be allowed to vote. The only ID card accepted on election day is the Elector Registration Identification, Voter's ID card, issued by the Electoral Office. Let's have a peaceful and a safe local government election. As we close out today's program, we leave you with this tip on happiness. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you will be successful. Head over to our website at jis.gov.jm. It's your source for more information on all the matters featured in today's show. To watch this program again, click on our YouTube channel. You may also check out our other social media platforms. I am Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.